Good morning again. It's June 3rd, Friday, early in the morning. Nice and cool. I don't have to have the air conditioner running. Don't even have my hearing aids in, just using the phone with the microphone on the phone. How to stop school shootings. In a nutshell, we have to return to a pro-gun culture. If we go back to a pro-gun culture, we can stop the school shootings. The problem is, by trying to practice another prohibition, we are going to fail. It is guaranteed. So by trying to take guns away, you're actually going to increase the school shootings. The people that are running the country today want to take us down. The communists are at the helm. They've taken over all of our institutions. They are in positions of power. This is their final move. And they know their time is short. So they're going to want to cause trouble this summer between now and this election. And who knows, they may just keep ramping it up, and they might actually go to more formal wars even, or even to the heavy nukes. Yes, that's possible, because the devils are at the helm at this point. No doubt about it. These are descendants of the devil. Okay, so if you want to stop school violence, you have to liberalize gun laws. Yeah, you heard me right. Liberalize gun laws. We need shooting sports in schools again. We need fathers teaching their sons and their daughters, about hunting and gun safety. The NRA was good for its safety training. That's really pretty much all they were good for. Well, I think the marksmanship things were good too. But as far as gun rights and all that, they've been miserable at it, and it's corrupt as hell. And I'm not giving my money to them because they've compromised way too much. Gun Owners of America is a much better organization. That's where I'd put my money, or I might consider sending it directly to some of these folks that have got these legal battles with the ATF. So we, as a young nation, we all had guns. We all had arms. We had to have them. Now you'll say, well, we don't have to have them. Well, I disagree with you, because our cities have become more of jungles than ever before. You want to stop the shootings in Colorado? Well, then you're going to have to take a chance. You're going to have to stop the gun prohibition. Chicago. You want to stop the shooting in Chicago? It's pretty easy. You have to make available concealed carry in Chicago. You do that, yeah, there'll be a couple of shootings, all right, but it'll be bad guys getting wiped out. And there's been some programs in Chicago and Los Angeles, and it's rumored they're by our CIA, in which they drop crates of fully automatic weapons in the alleys, along with cases of ammunition. And I guess they sit back and watch who takes it. I don't really know. I just know that most of the guys that have run across those have reported it to us. We''ve got guys in Los Angeles and in Chicago reporting the same thing to us. So there has been a really, then we have the Fast and Furious, in which we allowed that guy, that jackass, man, I want to be able to identify him by something other than his race. The fellow that was under Barack Obama, Eric, the guy who was behind Fast and Furious. That was horrible, that they armed up the cartels and let the cartels in Mexico murder a bunch of people because they armed them up so well. And they sent guns across our border illegally into Mexico, resulted in the death of one of our own Border Patrol agents, Terry. Good God, I wish I could remember his name. That fellow who did that needs to be charged with a murder, accessory to murder, before the fact. What he did, Eric Holder, is it? Yeah, the racist Eric Holder. Yeah, he's a racist dude, all right. He's a racist guy. I'm sorry, but he doesn't like white people at all. He's racist. It's time we start calling the blacks out for their racism. It's not that all blacks are racist, but the ones that are racist are pretty bad. Eric Holder needs to be charged with those crimes, but he'll never be charged because he's part of the police state. And that's what we're living in, is a police state. Don't kid yourselves. And if we want to stop school shootings, as I said, we return to our own self-governance, which means we have to have our militias. The only way we can be a free people is to have militias again, where we take care of the laws ourselves. Don't get me wrong, we don't take the law into our own hands. We have a well-organized militia. And typically the militias were under the governors, and the militias would do specific things. And these people who think the militia was just there for war don't understand jack. I talked to a gubernatorial candidate yesterday. That individual does not understand freedom, does not understand the need for proper defense and the ability to do it. I'm sorry. And I realize that everybody's got their perspectives and their priorities, but we are in an atypical war, and we need to be prepared. So we need our militias. We need them organized as quickly as can be. They need to be all voluntary. We don't need the government paying a cent for this thing. No taxpayer inputs on this. We've got plenty of well-trained military men among us who definitely would volunteer if they knew that they could have a fighting force again, and they knew that that we're going to be able to defend ourselves. So that's the key thing. They don't want us to be able to defend ourselves. And so I think if you want to be a governor of a state and you want to be heard, you just step out, maybe on a day like this 4th of July, and say, we need our state militias. Or as governor, I'm going to authorize a state militia. We're going to have a state militia. Now, Barack Obama was pretty bright in a couple of things. One, he said we weren't a Christian nation. Now, I'm not going to argue with you about it here right now, but we aren't a Christian nation. He's right about that. He also said that we cling to our Bibles and to our guns. Well, he's right about that. And there's good reason to cling to your guns, and there's better reason to cling to your Bibles. So take Barack Obama's tip. He also said we needed to have an army inside our borders, bigger than our formal army that goes and fights outside of our borders. We needed a bigger one. Well, he wanted to get brown shirts going. But we need our militias. Our founders were geniuses. They gave us what we needed. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. As a matter of fact, there is no argument. There's no reason for us to argue. We just need to do what they said. We need to return to the structure they gave us. It's not that hard. You say it'll never be done. Well, I got news for you. We're going to be fighting here among ourselves physically. We're going to be fighting to defend ourselves as these forces that have come across our borders, unchecked by this administration, will be armed up by our own CIA. My God, they had truck loads, trailer loads of fully automatic weapons and ammunition, even shoulder-fired rockets and all kinds of stuff over in Europe, ready to arm up those rebels over there. And they've already done it here in small on a smaller order in the Antifa and Black Lives Matter riots. Those people were armed up. Don't kid yourselves. Your news media is controlled. They're not going to tell you the truth. There is no truth in the news media. You just can't get it. Things could go down in one neck of the country and you wouldn't hear about it anywhere else because this media is so well controlled. So there's no free speech. We allowed the central bankers for the world to take over America. They run the show today. Our president today is Jerome Powell, I think is his name. That's who the president is. That's the one who dictates what happens in America. This other stuff is just a freak show, just a front. And so we do have a police state, and there's no getting rid of the police state unless we return to self-rule, which requires that the average man has to pick up rifles, has to pick up arms. Doesn't say we have to use them, but we have to be ready. And if you want Antifa to visit your town, then make sure it's a gun-free zone. If you want BLM to be there, make sure it's a gun-free zone. If you don't want them there, you do what this little town in Oklahoma did. The little town of Oklahoma found out that Black Lives Matter was going to go marching. They had the proper paperwork approved of to do their march, their little demonstration, their protest through their little town. And the men said, oh, screw that. They got out in the street with their rifles. And they stood 6 feet apart. And they lined the street. Black Lives Matter walked down. They said Black Lives Matter never stopped. Never made any eye contact with any of them. They just kept marching straight ahead. Now, were those guns used? Yes, they were. It was a presentation of arms, a presentation of force to show we will defend. We will hold our ground. So you better get ready to do that in your town. You better get ready to get along with your neighbor a little bit better, because you might be turning to him to cover your backside when some other son of a bitch is beating on you or shooting at you. You need to understand that you cannot shuck this responsibility any further. It's not up to you to decide if you can defend yourself or not. You're going to have to be able to do it. And I hate telling you that, because I hate the idea myself. I do not want to put my sights on another human being. I mean, I'm trained against doing that. Sadly, we've got to train up and we have to be ready. We are in a civil war right now. We've got these stupid rhino governors that have signed off on elections that they know were illegal. They know there was fraud, and they signed off anyway. We got these stupid governors who have shut their economies down on purpose, taking powers that they didn't have, setting precedences. There's a few governors out there who said, I don't have the power or the authority to do that. My God, you want to embrace them. You want to love on them and kiss them. But the fact is that we're being hoodwinked. We have got so many levels of deception going on right now that things are going down. You don't like it. I don't like it. They pulled the plug on this economy. And at the same time, they're going to be doing a melt up. It's going to be weird. It's going to be confusing. But one thing's for sure. You who want to tolerate these little steps are just capitulating. You're giving up. You're giving in. The water is boiling around you and you don't even know it right now. You've got warriors coming across that southern border freely. You've got military-age fighting men, trained up men. You've got Iraqi soldiers here in the United States. Oh, they're not very well organized, but they blended in pretty well. There were 5,000 of the Republican Guard brought over by Bush Jr. And that was the first load. Then they brought another 5,000 over after that Iraq War, the Gulf War. And then what happened after Vietnam went down? They brought over Vietnamese, but they didn't bring over the good guys. They brought over Viet Cong. And they settled Viet Cong up and down the Mississippi River after that war was over. Now tell me, why do you bring the enemy in? The trained up, the enemy fighters. Why do you bring them into your nation? This State Department is so communistic. Joe McCarthy was right. Y'all better get ready. Stop voting for the stupidity. You better get yourself in shape. I've been working on myself, and I'm a pretty old guy. Get yourself in shape. Good conditioning is your best defense. Let's stop the school shootings. Let's return to our state militias. Let the officers of the militia and the governors decide how to put these men in the schools. You put these men and some women in the schools with arms. School shootings stop. That's all that happens. But these anti-Americans are busy trying to take your guns away. It's not because they want to stop the school shootings. They don't even investigate these school shootings. They create a real big fog so that you can't sort out the truth. So we can't tell whether anybody's actually been killed or not. I don't believe the politicians. I don't believe the media. I don't believe law enforcement reports. Do you?